Hello everyone, how's it going? It's Sway, and today we have day 1 of our minion reveals. Our new Battleground season begins on August 20th. This is season 8, and we have Trinkets coming to the Battlegrounds. I'm going to link the video from yesterday where we talked about the blog post right now, so you can check that out if you missed it and don't know what Trinkets are. But otherwise, let's get into our neutral minions. I lied. Let's start with our heroes and spells, and then we'll move into our neutral minions. From our blog post yesterday, we learned about one new hero. This is Marin the Manager. On turn 5, which is 7 gold, 1 turn before your normal lesser trinket turn, you get to buy a lesser trinket, so you get an extra trinket than everyone else. Obviously, this may come with some benefits, assuming that you get some very useful trinkets, but also could be a little bit of a low roll depending on what you get offered. Nonetheless, I'm really excited to try Marin and see what he can offer us on turn 5. Now we're looking at 4 changed heroes. Our first one is a hero that I've been waiting for a change. We know that it was really good at release and then hasn't really been good since. It's Guff. Poor Guff just never had the stuff, just wasn't buff enough. But now Guff gives a passive hero power of after you buy 30 tiers worth of cards, you get a triple reward. Noted that this is cards, not minions or spells, so you buy 30 tiers of cards no matter what they are, and you get a triple reward. I'm very excited to try this new Guff. I think that this is really good, and you can probably time it out in a way that you get a really valuable first triple reward. And of course, by the end of the game, you buy 5 tier 6s and you get another triple reward. I think that this is a great change for Guff, and honestly is going to be really good. Next is another hero which I really like the change for. This is Kael'thas. Kael'thas, with a passive hero power of every 3rd minion you play, gains +1/+1, which we know, but then it also improves by +1/+1. This feels like Kael'thas meets the Jailer, and I really, really like what this can do, especially since it's passive. Not broken by any means, but just some good scaling here and there. You can target specific minions, maybe make your Rivendares slightly more buff. Moving on now, we have a hero which I feel like might not be the best change, but I'm not sure, right? This is Dancin Deryl. Deryl already got changed from selling to buying, and now what's left but playing. This is a passive hero power. Whenever you play a minion, give it +1/+1 hat that passes to a friendly minion when sold. This does make it a little bit better for those discovers because you don't necessarily buy that minion, you discover it. Similarly, like token minions like a Elemental. So I think this is probably the best iteration of Deryl. I am still unsure of how good it's going to be. Whenever Deryl changed the first time, I tried to do this thing that I liked to call the Horde of Hats, where I would buy a bunch of things and then put all of the hats on one minion and then strategically move those around. It didn't work. It didn't work. I don't know if this would help it work. This is a solid. We'll see how it goes for me. Next up, Ragnaros is getting a change. This isn't a huge significant change, but it's the passive hero power after it's unlocked now gives +4/+4 instead. Of course, you could always stack it with Drakari and you play that and it's +8/+8. Pretty good. Feels better than +6/+6. Bigger number. As for changed spells, we only have one changed spell. This is Corrupted Cupcakes. It's on tier 5, 4 gold, and now it works similar to the Feldrake, where it consumes 3 random minions instead of consuming the entire shop. I think this is a very positive change for anyone playing against the minion of Cupcakes. Maybe feels a little bit less good, but really though, when you start scaling those shops, I think it's just fine. We have some new spells. On tier 2 for 2 gold, we have Cry Foul. Get a plain copy of a random minion from your last opponent's warband. It's like Murzond, but without being able to discover. But I still really like this because it is a minion for 2 gold, which is less than 3 gold. One more new spell we have is called Robust Evolution. This is on tier 3 and it's 2 gold. Choose a minion, transform it into a random minion of a higher tier. It keeps its stats. The RNG of this spell is insane because it's a random minion of the higher tier. It could be completely not worth it. Yeah, it's not the full cost of a minion. However, I really don't know if I like this or not. There's so much variability here that I don't know how often I would play it. I might be wrong. It's definitely one of those spells that I'm gonna have to see in play before I make a full decision on if I like it or not. All that said, let's move on to the big subject matter. We're gonna talk about our neutral minions. We have 7 neutral minions leaving the Battlegrounds. Sindorai Straight Shot, Poetic Pen Pal, for obvious reasons, buddies are leaving. Moon Eater's champion, as well as Greymane's champion, so those odd and even comps are gone. Fire Dancer, Unforgiving Treant, and Zap. Zap left the Battlegrounds, came back to the Battlegrounds, and now leaving the Battlegrounds again. Nothing crazy shocking here. However, the fact that we're losing our odd and even comps makes you wonder, what other scaling do we have? Well, we have some minions that are returning. Coming back on tier 5, this is Interrogator Whitemane. A little bit different this time. We have a start of combat effect, give an enemy minion from tier 5 or higher taunt. It takes double damage this combat. So if you played when Whitemane was in the game before, it was all about positioning, and now not so much. Now you just have to play it, and there are ways to counter it from your opponent because they can play other minions from tier 5 or higher, hoping that Whitemane might hit. But this is really... I like this better than Whitemane. However, I did like the mind games of the positioning of Whitemane. But I think that this is really, really good. A really fantastic counter to those Death Rattle comps with Undead, with Beast. I like it. Next up, Motley Phalanx is coming back, but instead of tier 6, on tier 4. It is now providing permanent stats with the Death Rattle of give a friendly minion of each type +2/+1 permanently, with the golden version giving +4/+2. So very early on in here, we're seeing some support coming back for a menagerie board. But not only is Phalanx coming back, we are also having Lightfang Enforcer coming back on tier 5. If you knew my early Battlegrounds days, I had such a love-hate relationship with Lightfang in the way that I loved Lightfang, and then that patch happened and I did not like Lightfang anymore. But I'm so happy to see Lightfang back. Also, with a little bit of a buff here, at the end of your turn, give a friendly minion of each type +3/+3, with the golden version giving +6/+6. I am a big fan of Menagerie comp, so I'm loving seeing this Menagerie support. Last but not least, coming back, this is a big one. This is the Deadly Spore, coming back to tier 3. It's a 1/1 with Venomous. The golden version is 2/2. So if you're in a pinch and you need to remove a minion, Spore is there for you. It's some easy to remove, but also easy to just run in and play minion. Much like the spell that if you leave a space on your board, you get to summon a 1/1 with Venomous. It attacks immediately. Very similar, but this time you're playing it onto your board. Okay, we've talked about what's leaving and what's returning. Let's talk about our new neutral minions. Neutral. On tier 6, we have the Sun Screener. Start of combat, give you and your opponent's 3 leftmost minions Divine Shield. This is such an interesting minion. As soon as I read this, I was like, oh, there's so many applications for this. You know your opponent has a Leroy. Sun Screener, run it in. Don't have to worry about it. Even if someone is running like a Tunnel Blaster against your shields, just give it shield and then it can't die right away. This is sick. This is really cool. I like the tech that this is. I'm very intrigued by this. We have one more minion coming to tier 6. This is a neutral, but it is an all-typed minion, the one Amalgam Tour Group. Whenever you play a card, give friendly minions of its tier or lower +1/+1. The golden version gives +2/+2. This is very interesting for the like APM aspect. You could work this into a Nala comp. Because of the all-type, it could really fit in a lot of different builds. Any build where you're cycling, and it doesn't have to be cycling through minions, it's cycling through cards. So any build that you play a lot of cards, this could be beneficial. I'm curious how quickly it'll stack, but I'm really excited to see it in play. Moving down to tier 5, we have the Lucky Egg. This is a battle cry of discover a golden tier 3 minion to transform into. So you lose the egg. The golden version gives you a tier 4. So if you have to collect the eggs and not play them yet if you want your golden tier 4, because otherwise you play one, it won't be a lucky egg anymore. You won't be able to triple it. As we continue going through our little reveal week, we'll see how applicable the lucky egg will be with the golden tier 3. Overall though, notably, it is to transform into the golden version, so you're not getting any kind of triple discover or anything like that. It's simply just a minion that is good and golden in tier 3. Going on down to tier 4, we have the Inspiring Underdog. This one I have very mixed feelings about. It is a battle cry of give your minions from tier 3 or lower +2/+1, with the golden version +4/+2. This is really nice for like a very mid-game tempo piece where you're like, okay, let me just, I have all of these minions mid-game. They're all tier 3 below. It's stats. It's not bad. That being said, it is so not synergetic with the way that I play Battlegrounds, so I don't see myself playing this very often. However, I see it as a very, very useful minion to maybe not have your minions die against your opponent for one turn, maybe deliver some damage and knock someone that plays like me down below damage cap. Last but not least, we have a new minion coming to tier 2. This is the free travel winner. At the start of your turn, if this minion survived last combat, remove this and get a triple reward, and the golden version gives you 2 triples. This is also interesting for the way that you can choose to play this. If you place it behind a couple taunts, and then you just get that triple reward right away, assuming that your opponent is not strong enough to remove it, or you play it at the front of your board, trying to get the most value from it, tripling it. So you can be greedy with it, or you can just kind of, well, it'll happen eventually. Regardless, getting to discover a triple reward is pretty fantastic. Clearly, we have a lot of things to be excited about with neutral minions. What's new, what's returning. But more importantly, we have to talk about our neutral trinkets that are available in every lobby. That doesn't mean they're going to get offered in every lobby, but they are not minion type dependent. As a refresher, trinkets are similar to quest rewards in a way that they impact your game for the rest of your game. However, you have lesser trinkets on turn 6 and greater trinkets on turn 9, and you have to use your gold on those turns to purchase whichever trinket you'd like. You'll be showed 4 to choose from, and they will vary based on your hero, minion types in the game, and your warband. So starting with our lesser trinkets, we have Token of the Old Gods for 1 gold. This is a spellcraft of transform a minion into one from a tier higher. This feels a lot like that spell that we just saw of the Robust Evolution changing a minion into a random one from a tier higher. I am quite unsure about this one because there is no discoverability and it could just not benefit you. However, it's only 1 gold, so it's not that big of an investment. The fact also that it's a spellcraft feels a little bit beneficial, and it's not a minion in the tavern, it's a minion in general, including minions on your warband. This one is getting a solid, I need to see it in play. Next up, we have a whopping 5 gold Book of Medivh. Discover a tavern spell at the start of each turn, discover another. The RNG is so real with this one because your tavern spell could be anything. You get to discover one, of course, but like, you know, sometimes those discovers don't go in your favor. So big RNG here, but free spells. At 2 gold, we have Innkeeper's Stein. The tavern offers an extra minion of a higher tier whenever it's refreshed. So this feels very Toki, right? And you only have to pay 2 gold for higher tiered minions when the tavern's refreshed. Any hero can be like half of a Toki. I think that this is a really good value. The RNG, again, very heavy. You could low roll on the minions you see. Of course you can, but I am definitely excited to play this as a Toki enjoyer. This one, I don't know that it's busted per se, but in my heart, based on the fact that you get it on turn 6 or 8 gold, it feels kind of busted. We have Azeroth Model Globe. This is 4 gold, and at the start of every 2 turns, discover a tier 6 minion. Of course, there's the level of RNG of not hitting good minions, but every 2 turns you get to discover a tier 6, and it's quite early to get your first tier 6, I think, especially without requiring to power levels, so you can stay on 3 or 4 and tempo out and get tier 6 minions. I don't know, it feels really good. I think I'm putting that on my radar for a potential nerf. We'll see. Next up is Colorful Compass. This is 2 gold. Get a random Naga, but this could be any minion type, and at the start of each turn, get another. So it plays very similarly to Friends Along the Way, where you get something, and then at the start of the next turn, you get something from that minion type. Since it's a random, it could be great. It could be not so great. You know who knows? Bob. Our cheapest trinket offered on the lesser trinket side. This is the Goldenizer Supply at 0 gold. This is free. At the end of every 3 turns, get a Goldenizer. And this Goldenizer impacts your minion on your warband, so it's a friendly minion, you make it golden, so you can't discover with it, you're just using it to make a minion on your board golden. This is an end of turn effect, so you can use Drakari to get extra Goldenizers, but just be aware that you only get to make your minions golden and you don't get any value from discovers. After that is Goblin Wallet. This is 2 gold. At the end of each turn, increase your maximum gold by 1. I stand by the quest reward that was the treasure vault, right? Where you got to increase your gold by 1, the same concept, and it being just absolutely so good and consistent and just a good quest reward to get. And I think that the Goblin Wallet is going to be the exact same thing. The fact that it's the end of turn means you can also impact with Drukhari, and then, you know, in a couple turns you have like 1 billion gold and then you win. Souvenir Stand is next at 4 gold. This is for all of the very thrill seeker RNG friends. When you buy your greater trinket, this transforms into a copy of it. There are, of course, some very fun interactions that would be doubled. However, what if you don't get those? But what if you do? The only one that knows is future you. So I would go for it. No, but really though, this sounds really fun. And if you don't get offered a better trinket to buy, why not, right? Similar to Souvenir Stand, but not quite the same, is trip vouchers. This is 2 gold. In 2 turns, choose a greater trinket to buy and replace this. So notably, you have to buy that trinket, so you don't get it for free, the way Souvenir Stand transforms into a copy. But you could get 2 greater trinkets that interact well with each other, hopefully. So you're spending 2 gold basically to put off your decision and hope you get something better, in a similar way to Souvenir Stand, where it's like, well, I don't really love anything else I'm being offered. Let's try this. And as a greedy player, I would probably take trip vouchers more than I wouldn't. I am very, very excited for this next one. It's Enforcer Portrait. This is 6 gold. Quite expensive, but it's get a Lightfang Enforcer. Your Lightfang Enforcers have all minion types. That means that Lightfang buffs itself, and you just get a ton of Lightfang Enforcers, and they just buff themselves, and it's great. But really, though, it does feel like a really fantastic Menagerie support. If you like playing Menagerie like I do, I think that you will love this as well. I'm quite hopeful for this one. Next is the Eye of Dalaran. This is 2 gold. Whenever a friendly minion with no type dies, get a random tavern spell. I don't know. I don't know how many non-typed minions you're going to be running on your board, but it is a lesser trinket, so potentially not meant to get the most amount of value. Less value. Not actually, but you know, I don't know how many non-typed minions you're going to be having. Could get some value. This one's a let's see it in play for me. Our second to last lesser trinket, we have Yogg-tastic Pastry. This is 5 gold. Spin the wheel of Yogg-Saron. At the start of each turn, spin it again. Our lovely wheel of Yogg-Saron. You gotta praise Yogg and hope for the best. Last but not least, we have Bob-blehead. This is 2 gold. The tavern no longer offers cards from tier 1 or tier 2. I know what you're thinking. You're like, this is the best. But be super cautious, because let me present a scenario to you where you're playing demons and you have Wrathweaver, Pinkman, and you have no Soul Rewinder, and then you play Bob-blehead and you will never ever have a Soul Rewinder. Yeah, just be aware of the double-edged sword that could exist here. But of course, I do like this because tier 1, tier 2, meh, tier 3 and onwards, yeah. It's good. Now we're moving on to our greater trinkets. For 4 gold, we have our Ironforge Anvil. Start of combat, triple the stats of your minions with no type. We love a brand that can stay alive to get the Rylak value, or a Rivendare that gets hit and doesn't die. I don't dislike this. I don't love it, but I don't dislike it. Definitely a see it in play for me. Next up, for 5 gold, we have Exquisite Dishware. At the end of your turn, get a random minion of each different type you control. Of course, I love anything that gives value in terms of gold, and that is this, and I love it. It also seems pretty synergetic with the new tier 6 that buffs minions for minions that you play or cards that you play. I like it. I like it a lot. I am excited to play that one. It is expensive, and I feel like based on the trinkets I'm excited to play, I might have slightly expensive taste. For 5 gold as well, we have Book of Medivh. We know we had a lesser version. This is our greater version, where you discover 2 tavern spells, and you discover 2 more at the start of each turn. And much like Book of Medivh, Colorful Compass has a similar situation where it's 3 gold, so 1 more gold than before, but you get 2 random of a type of minion, and at the start of each turn you get 2 more. Now here's one that I am unsure how much I like. This is Devourer Sticker. This is 2 gold. Get a Channel the Devourer, which is that tier 4 spell, which works like Mutinous. At the start of each turn, get another. It doesn't actually give you stats, it just transfers the stats to a random minion that you have. In a way, it gives stats because whatever stats the minion already had, and like I could see this working well with large boards, but I am pretty 50-50 on this one. Definitely another one of those we're gonna have to see it in play. For 5 gold, we have Karazhan Chess Set. This is the start of combat. Summon a copy of each of your minions. So for those of you that played Evil Twin, Quest Reward, and always forgot to leave a space on your board, this probably is not the trinket for you. Not speaking from experience or anything. But really, though, I'm pretty intrigued by this. I feel like there is some pretty meme-tastic things that could happen here. I'm excited to play this. I'm excited to see what it can do. For 2 gold, we have the Peacebloom Candle. The first 2 tavern spells you buy each turn are free. This feels really good. You pay 2 gold 1 time, and you get 2 free tavern spells, which can go up to 6-7 gold. So I have no qualm with this one. I think it's great, and I think that 2 gold is honestly a little bit too good of value. 2G, too good. Yes, 2 gold, too good. Same thing. This is also way up there on the early nerfs for me, I think. Our most expensive greater trinket. This is Pagel's Fishing Rod, 6 gold. Get a random tier 7. At the start of each turn, get another. Our tier 7s vary so greatly in what they can do, you know, the power levels of them, especially compared to the minion types. So you could hit or you could not. This is heavy RNG. It is a random tier 7. For all you know, you could get like just nightmares every turn and never play any undead. So heavy on the RNG. At least it's a thing you can sell, right? Last but not least, for our greater trinkets, at 0 gold, this costs nothing, it's free. This is Bob's Tip Jar. You gain 3 gold and increase your maximum gold by 3. It is very likely the least impactful of the greater, so I imagine that's why it's the cheapest, being free. I would very likely take that, honestly, if I did not like any of my other synergetic greater trinkets. The fact that you don't have to pay for it's sick, and, you know, 3 gold. I don't think that one's bad by any means. I think that it's a last resort, I have no other option kind of thing. All right, that is it, my friends, for our neutral minions. We've covered so much here, but this was probably our most important reveal, right? Because neutral is going to set the tone for all of our other minion types. So let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you're excited about, and I will see you all tomorrow for the next reveals. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.